Hey, what's up? This is Bondo, and I am live at KSSU, and I am looking forward to being at the 35th anniversary. It's going to be pretty sweet. Looking to see all my radio peeps. KSSU, be yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Bronte and I'm the Promo and Events Coordinator, and we're here with our alumni for our Alumni Spotlight interview. If you can introduce yourself.
It's been a while since I've been on camera, and I'm a little shy. I'll turn on my camera if you're okay with that, but I'm hesitant to do it.
Oh, oh my gosh, you
I
look
changed,
different from your pictures.
I changed a lot over the years. All right. Anyway,
I
sorry.
love that.
I
That's
was
so
like,
fun.
my wife's like, because I had to dig that costume out from, the rafters. And she's like, is it really worth it to go through all this trouble? I'm like, yeah, actually it is. Please, let's do it. Oh, man.
Awesome, so we'll get into it. So for those who don't know you, do you want to do uh, an introduction or a
Yeah,
second one?
well, sure. Yeah. My name is David Biondi, and I'm in my 50s now. And I can't believe I'm doing a interview about KSSU radio. I'm one of the few crew that was there for the beginning of the station. And I must say, before I start, that a small group of people did a lot of work to get that radio station off the ground. And when I came in, I really was towards the end of it. I helped out a little bit, and then I was on the air, but a lot of people had done a lot of work prior to me getting there. And then, it was a lot of their hard work, which was great.
Yeah, you're one of the OGs. And for those who don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about like KEDG and how that came to be to KSSU?
Well, I guess, Jim Bolt can maybe speak to that about how he came about to it. But when I came into Sac State, it was 1990, 1991, and pirate radio was pretty big. A lot of people were starting their own radio stations, and there was a lot of stuff going on. Howard Stern was coming up a little bit, and radio was pretty hot coming out of the 80s. Grunge was a big deal, and so college radio was really just starting to blow up. And so Jim had the idea to do a carrier current, which is what they do at the airports. I never knew what a carrier current was, but he decided to do it at Sac State and have a radio station. So I figured, what the heck? I wanted to be on the radio. My dad was in broadcasting. My mom was a journalism professor, and I had media through growing up. So I figured, yeah, that'd be a great exercise, great exercise to try something extracurricular activity. And so I mainly helped out with them on events and trying to promote the station. And like I said, I really came in towards the end of when they were about to start. And then I believe they got the grant. I believe now this is a long time ago, but I do remember after doing a couple of events that we got the okay. They built the stadium, the studio, and from there it just kind of took off. And so I fell into a morning show position. I did a couple shows at the dormitory in the dining commons in the morning and to promote my show. And then they trained us at public access radio in Sacramento there. They trained us and let us get trained by a radio DJ and get us ready. And a gentleman who was there, a friend of mine named DJ Willis, he was the program director for the station. And so he took me under his wing and made me assistant program director. And that was just a blast. It was just a lot of fun just to be starting something from the ground up and to be a part of that. It was really just a cool time, and we really were just a group of nerds that were, we loved music and we loved just to see music, and so we just wanted to bring that to the campus.
Awesome, that's amazing. And then, now we're celebrating our 35th anniversary, so, it's come a long way. And then going back to, you said you grew up around media with like both your parents in broadcasting and journalism. Like
Mhm.
during those like formative years, did you know you always wanted to like be part of radio or something like behind the mic or in some sort of media
Oh
space?
yeah, yeah. There is no doubt. I think my senior letter that I wrote to all my family and friends to ask for money, I put in the letter that I planned on being on the radio airwaves one day. And, I'd always recorded with my friend Chance and always recorded some audio stuff and done video. And I'm a total ham. So hence the gorilla mask, Bigfoot costume. But I knew right away that I wanted to do something like that. I was in drama class as well, too. And did a lot of the stuff. Yeah, my dad was worked for KCRA Channel 3 in the 60s. He was the first, I believe, anchor at the 6 p.m. news on TV. And my mom had been at Sac State for when I was born. She was a professor there at Sac State. So I went to work with her all the time. So I literally grew up on the campus. And I knew that when I got there, I wanted to do some sort of media. So I was on the Hornet newspaper. I did radio, drama, and then the radio thing with DJ. Unfortunately, DJ passed away from a moped accident I think after we had begun, maybe even before. And so from there, I just got disinterested a little bit. And I think that's, kind of what college is all about. You're just trying different stuff. And I backed away from it a little bit. And then from there, I was able to get more training at public access. And then I actually did a TV show. I wrote and produced and started in a TV show on public access called Live with Chance and Dave, and with my friend Chance. And it was a half-hour call-in show. We did it for about 2-3 years, and it was a lot of fun. So I think the radio station at KSSU or KEDG was able to springboard me into that stuff. So it really was the genesis of everything that I had done growing up in my bubble in Carmichael. And then when I moved to Sac State, it just kind of propelled me into everything else that I did, and helped me come up, think up a lot of things and keep my creative mind going. And it really was the beginning of what I'm doing today.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, like college radio is like the very start of your experience, and a lot of us go into working in like media or music industry, and
Yeah.
it's very like I think we kind of all start here,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
amazing.
What I think is kind of cool, Bronte, is that radio through all these years, even when my dad did radio back in Oakland in the 60s and 50s, that it's still viable. It's still, even after satellite radio and even after, podcasts and all that stuff, I think radio is still something where it's still awesome just to have that music and have that connection with people. And it's still here today. So you guys have done a good job keeping that up. I'm really excited to come there in September and just see what you guys have done with it, because I haven't been back to that campus since they switched it. I haven't been there, so I'm excited to see that and what you guys have done.
I'm sure it looks different, and we're still like building more things. Like we're doing a studio reimagine, so we're trying to like even like change things even more.
Uh,
But that's awesome. And then you said your show, what you had like you were hosting a morning show. What do you remember about hosting that?
oh, it was very brief. I think I called it Celebration of Music with Bondo, Come
Mhm.
with Bondo. And I really, my musical taste is all over the place. Even since then, I just have a ton of music that I listen to, but I really just wanted to have a morning show. All my classes were based around that later in the day. And I think when we first started, I was in the studio. I forget who I was with, but then a reporter came and did a story on us for the Hornet. And I was at um, the board. And I think I am that picture that when they introduced the station, I'm that person at the board working the board, and someone gave me some glasses to make me look cool, some Ray-Bans. But I just remember just being so fun, and there really was a plan, but there wasn't. And just being that young in that situation and having that opportunity, I don't think I fully grasp. Can't even say that word. I
You
think
got
I fully, I
it.
don't think I fully held on to that. What was truly going on, I really didn't realize. And now that I look back, I think the opportunity that you guys have to have that power as far as to sit there in that booth and be able to communicate out, it's just huge. And again, it's something that will help you. I think, if you're in a shell and you want to come out of your shell, it's a perfect place to be around people that are just like you. So Hopefully it has that same vibe, Bronte. Does it have that vibe now? I mean, how long have you been there at the station?
I've been here for almost a year, but
Nice.
definitely not as long as everyone else.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. Yeah.
So how long, like, have other people been there longer than a couple
Yeah.
years?
Yeah, a lot of people start off as like volunteers for like a
Mhm.
year
Mhm.
and then they'll go into like maybe a position like mine, like the promo and events or the
Okay.
volunteer coordinator. But I
Yeah.
kind of just jumped into employment. But
Oh,
yeah, it's been amazing.
so do you have a show on there? Do you play, do you do stuff or?
This is my show.
Oh, okay.
The alumni spotlights, that's my
Nice.
thing. But I know a lot of our staff have their own shows,
Mhm.
but yeah.
So I have a couple questions though. I'm just for my mind's eye. So the
Oh, okay.
station itself, is it, and I'll see that in September, but are you guys playing, CDs? Or is it like you just plug in your phone and it's all MP4s? I mean, how do you guys play that music there?
Yeah, so we have like a system, Spinatron people will like they'll send us their music on like MP3s and stuff, and we'll put it into the system and we'll play it through there, log it. We also can do our CDs. We're also getting some vinyl, and we have our physical media day coming up, so we're trying to get our DJs to use more of our CDs and our physical media as we
Nice. Yeah.
celebrate that, I think next month.
Yeah.
But yeah, we most of it is like digitally like entered. Sometimes people will plug in their phone,
Mhm.
but we like to use a mix of both.
Nice. All right. Well, that's cool. I just wanted to get some sort of lay of the land because Jim had said that we are going to take over the station, I think, for a day, or I don't know if we're playing music or just having our shows again, but I wasn't sure what's going on when we show up. So sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. And then for my next question,
Yeah.
you were, here around like the early 90s
Yep.
and it was a time for college radio and I know especially like I'm from originally from Seattle, so I know grunge was a huge thing
Yes.
in the 90s. And what did that energy feel like on campus? Like how were people responding? Because I know it may have been different.
I think, being plugged into the music scene back then, it was, grunge was coming up, but really Sacramento itself was just amazing. It really was because music was everywhere. The hair bands were just finishing up as far as Motley Crue and Tesla, which is a Sacramento band. They were huge, and the live scene was awesome. So there was more of that going through Sacramento, I think. And then that's mainly what a lot of us, like Jim and a lot of other people that contributed to the station, they all brought a different vibe and different music. And that's what Sacramento has always been. It's just kind of a variety of different types of music. Living up here in Southern Oregon, since I've been up here for 20 some odd years, I miss the music variety and I miss that vibe of having different types of music. And I think back then in the 90s, it really was, I just can't even really explain it as far as being able to go down to San Francisco and see a show or having someone pass through Sacramento, just going anywhere in California to see something. It was just super cool. And it really was, you just pick and chose what you wanted to like or whatever, because everything was there. And especially downtown was just really cool. So I hope it's still like that. I don't know. I don't really know. I haven't been there for a while.
Hmm. I mean, I would say there's definitely more there's still that variety and I think the music scene is still growing. I know there's like a lack of venues, but I think, like they built Channel 24 and I
Mhm.
think I think it's with the pandemic and everything, there is a damper and I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like this year is the first year I feel like music has been fully back and we're starting where we left off, I
Well,
feel like.
I don't want to sound super old, but I'm gonna, because you can't avoid it, and maybe you'll understand someday too, Bronte. But back then, we didn't have pagers or we didn't have cell phones. Those were just kind of coming up, and it was very, very. I don't even know the term to use today, but we really had to make do with what we had, which was awesome. So it was going to a show. It was a garage band. It was creating music and you know having actual like DJ performances and even in your garage or in your backyard. And we were outside doing stuff, and so it really was a more hands-on lifestyle back then, where we were able to physically be there in person with one another, and it was super cool. But I think grunge was a little part of why the station took off, just college radio in general, but more the variety of people that were there and the team that we had, and then the students at the time too. It's just the whole thing was really great.
And it's like probably the way that, you know, you connected and you kind of scouted music and artists look different in that way as well versus like, you know,
Well, it
just
was really
sending an MP3
yeah.
on email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was also my friends too I hung out with that they each had different musical tastes, and there was a lot of punk and ska, and believe it or not, the skinheads in town were a big influence as far as music and the working class, and then we had the rock, over here at the Cattle Club, and then we had just different bubbles of different types of music or different groups that you could go and float. And in high school, I was a floater. I was everywhere. I didn't really hang with one group. So you could really expose yourself to different types of lifestyles and music. And, it was just super cool. So yeah, it was a lot different then, but it sounds like it's maybe coming back. I don't know.
I think it's so important for DJs to have exposure to, you know, all of those different genres, different community spaces in order to connect, especially in Sacramento. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
definitely.
awesome to look back at that. And then you mentioned you're a marketing content manager. Um, do you still draw from, you know, the college radio days in the work that you do, or like what was the connection to that as you built your like professional career
Yeah,
after college?
I think I can go all the way back to when I had my Star Wars figures, and I was playing Star Wars and playing stuff in my room, and I was always coming up with stuff. I was always trying to be creative, and I think when I got to the radio station, I had to come up with what my morning show would be or what I'd have to do on air, and then from there I went to the TV show at Public Access, where I had to really, while I was in class, tell you know don't do this in class. But while I was in class, I was thinking of what my TV show was going to be and writing that whole thing. And I've always had that side thing where I've worked to pay my bills, but I always wanted to do this creative thing. So recently, I work for Lithium Motors Inc., which is a very large Fortune 500 retail automotive company, and I've worked here for 20 years, and I've kind of worked myself into a creative role to where I continue to do that with these dealerships. I'm able to come up with branding campaigns for them and always thinking up creative stuff. I even have an Instagram account where I have my own lawn chair called Dave's Chair, and I bring the lawn chair to different places and do stuff. I mean, I'm just constantly always thinking of creative stuff. And again, I think it did stem from just coming up like I did. And then at the radio station, that really did kind of get me going on a lot of the stuff. So yeah, I still do it today, constantly thinking of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's something that doesn't ever leave you. Like if you're a creative person, you're gonna find a way to always be creative, even in like, you know, like a more corporate sort of setting. Like you'll still find your place and your talent and your where you know, excel in.
I think one thing as I look back, Bronte, just in retrospect, is that I always had that creative side of me and I kept it. But I think some people it does go away, unfortunately. And I think because you have to pay bills or certain things happen. But I think if you can keep that creativeness going and try and additionally do something fun while you're working to succeed, I think it will pay off. I mean, a lot of people, I think, want that payoff right away, and they may get impatient. And I was impatient too. But I think recently I've been blessed with the job that I have right now, which is just, I love it. So I would say don't give up, keep pushing. And if you do want to do something, just do it. But we all have to pay bills, I guess. So you can either sleep in a tent and be creative, or you can work and pay for some nice stuff and be creative. I mean, it's really up to you. There's a lot of jobs out there. I think there are a lot of jobs, but again, I think I've been doing this a long time. I think entry level, it is tough to get into some jobs. I think what I did is I was able to work at Sac State, and then I got a job at the Sacramento Bee, and I was able to work there and go to school. Then when school ended, then I kept the job going. So that's kind of the way to do it. I think is to ease yourself
Mhm.
into the working class.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to build on like that advice that you're giving us, if you could go back to yourself when you're in college and working at KSSU or KEDG,
Mm-hmm.
like what advice would you give yourself?
Geez, I would have said don't drop the radio station as soon as you did. I probably would have stuck it through longer. And who knows where I would have gone. I might gone, down to LA. Might have worked down in LA or done something radio, but I probably would have stuck it out a little better. I kind of dumped all that so I can take care of stuff. And I think I would have just sacrificed and stayed with it a little longer. Um, but who knows? LA is kind of a wicked place to live. So who knows if I would have even survived that? I don't know. But I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, just stick with it and don't give up. And I kind of did that in a sense, but just not right away.
Yeah, I think it's important to, you know, go for what you're passionate for versus what you're expected to do. But I think
There could be
you're,
there's a balance
yeah,
there, and it is, but you
yeah,
just never know. Life is so short, man. You just really never know. I think I'm again just blessed to be in the situation I am
yeah,
now.
yeah, you're doing amazing. You're doing great. And,
Mm.
you have all this amazing experience and wisdom to pass along
I
to
have a
our
cool mask,
KSSU
mask that
DJs.
I can wear around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
My alter ego. This is my alter ego right here.
Yeah, yes. Um, and then for my last question,
Yeah.
we have our 35th anniversary,
Mhm.
and that's coming up. And what does that mean to you with having student-run radio, going for so long here at Sac State?
I've been thinking about that actually. And I think the one thing that comes to my mind is just being proud. I think just pride that at the time, the group that they let me be in, um, that they worked so hard and that they were able to allow me to come in there and be with them and then take off when I did. And I think just being really proud of everything and how KSSU has kept going, and it's a place for young people to come in and figure themselves out. That's what college is all about. But I'm just really proud of you guys for everything that you're doing and, keeping going. And I really think it's nostalgic for me to come back, not only because I grew up on that campus from when I was a little kid all the way through college, but it's just nostalgic to come back to SAC and just see what you guys have done. I mean, I have no idea what I'm going to step into and what's going to be going on. It just sounds amazing. So it's nice that I have something in my life now that I can look back and be proud of, because definitely I'm not proud of a lot of stuff, but this I can definitely be proud of for sure. It's just really exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we all appreciate you, um, and the foundation that was built for us to keep going, and
Mhm.
hopefully, 35 more years and 35
I
years
know.
after that and keep it
Yeah, you'll be
going.
sitting there. You'll be sitting here answering questions just
Yes.
like I have, and I'll be in my retirement home saying, "I remember when Bronte interviewed me."
I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
that. Yeah, everything is full circle. That comes up a lot in the interviews. But yeah,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you
all
so much.